And we'd like to welcome everybody to OB Coffee Talk. We hope that you're listening live to our special podcast tonight at 7:45 Central Time. We're here out of Owensboro, Kentucky, and something new to Coffee Talk, but we're excited to be a part of this, is Doug Briney, who is a pastor and country music artist out of Anchorage, Alaska, is joining us via phone, and we're excited to be able to talk with him about his ministry, his music, where God's taken him through his music, and what's been going on in Alaska the past handful of years with the ministry that's going on. And so Doug's with us via the phone. And so, Doug, we're going to just start a little bit and let you tell all the listeners a little bit about you, so that those that maybe have not listened to your music or heard about what you do, that way they know a little bit more about you before we get through the rest of the interview.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Will. Well, my name is Doug Briney, like you said. We lived up in Alaska the past 22 years, moved up here from Michigan, and we spent 4 years there, but I'm Southern California born and raised, and then Michigan for 4 years, and then here for the past 22. So I am married, and I have 4 children. My oldest is in the Air Force, and then my daughter is down in California working as a model and working on acting down there. Then I have twin 14-year-old boys who are still just finishing up their 8th grade year here.
Man, that is fantastic. Sounds like you live a fairly busy life with that many kids and everything that God's doing in your life. Tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, about, first of all, the ministry that God has blessed you with, that has allowed you to be a part of there in Alaska, especially with the Cowboy Church.
Yeah, well, like I said, my entire adult life I've led music in churches, and then about 10 years ago now, we felt God calling us more towards the pastorate. And we talked with the pastor that I was working for at the time, and we went up to a little tiny town called Talkeetna, Alaska. We pastored there for 4 years, moved back to Anchorage, and then really began praying about what God was going to do with us here back in Anchorage. And through the K-Bear Country Idol, I started doing some singing outside of church, and through that really developed the passion for the cowboy culture and the cowboy community. Found out that even though country music was what I've listened to my entire lifetime, even though country music was the number one genre here in Alaska, there was not a single church using it in their worship services, and then there was no one doing an ongoing ministry within the rodeo and within the cowboy community. And from that, a lot of prayer and whatnot, we began the Cowboy Church from Anchorage. And we've been going on now, just celebrated the 4th year of Cowboy Church, and it's going very well.
That's pretty cool, Doug. This is Logan. I've never heard of a Cowboy Church before, but you basically, from what I'm getting, is you play pretty much country music worship style with authentic cowboys, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. And the cowboy churches it's a huge thing right now. It's the fastest growing segment of churches in the United States. There's cowboy churches all over, and every one is a little bit different. We're a little bit different than most in that we don't meet in a barn, and we don't meet in an arena, because our arenas and barns up here in the wintertime we'd freeze. We just wouldn't be able to. Our folks wouldn't be able to sit there, so we use a regular facility. Wayland Baptist University has been very good to us, letting us rent a facility from them. We haul in all of our decoration. We haul in split rail fences, our sound system. We set up saddles and some bridles, a few calf skins, and branding irons and everything else, and some chaps, and set everything up, kind of make it look real good. And then you're exactly right. We take modern praise music as well as old hymns and favorites, and do them a little country. We have a fiddle player, we have a stand-up bass, a dobro, and then a couple guitars and voices.
So that's pretty cool, man. I'm a bluegrass fan, so.
There you go. You'd fit right in. We definitely the bulk of the folks that are part of the praise band have been bluegrassers for 30 plus years. So they've been playing bluegrass and doing that for quite a while. And then when it comes to the message time, my messages are very. I try very hard not to use any big words. I keep it very, very simple and to the point. Don't mix words or anything else. But the messages are all very applicable for where our folks are at. I do what I call a "so what" moment at the end of every message. We've heard this, now so what? What are we going to do with it? How does that apply to us today?
That's awesome. Doug, this is Dustin here. One of the big things here at Coffee Talk that we like to focus on is discipleship, and it seems that you all are doing an awesome job of meeting people where they're at. I think that's awesome. My question is, you've been going at this, you said, for 4 years now. Could you kind of explain to us how the whole discipleship process worked, how it started off, and how the Cowboy Church has actually grown over these 4 years? How has it developed in a discipleship method?
It's the discipleship aspect is something that's been very, very difficult for us. Not because of lack of desire or lack of training or anything, but what we've really been up against is our facilities. It's very difficult to, we have the facility for one time a week for basically that hour. We have done Bible studies here at our home to help do that ongoing discipleship. And then I've done what I really have focused on more is just a one-on-one mentoring. Right. That I have found to be the most successful. Of course, it's a slower process. I can't meet with everybody all the time, but I have 3 gentlemen that I've worked with over the past 4 years and have mentored them in how to soul win, how to share their faith, and how to be firm in their faith, and kind of an apologetics, but also really just a practical aspect in discipleship. And then what they have in turn done now is they have started mentoring someone. Each one of them has picked up someone that they are working with, and so it's a very slow process, but I think it's the most effective thing that we've done, getting folks to break away. I don't know, I can't speak of ministry outside of Alaska. I've been up here for so long, but getting people away from activities during the week and getting folks to commit to an ongoing real discipleship time as a group has been near impossible. We have found it's just been very difficult. Folks will come 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll miss a couple weeks. Some other folks will come, and it kind of goes back and forth. So the process of really bringing along disciples and really mentoring folks is really hindered whenever you can't have that people there all the time. But I can meet with one individual, and if we can't meet that particular day, then we can be on the phone and say, okay, tomorrow works great for coffee, let's sit down. And so that's really what I have focused on over the past, really, it's been 3 years now that I've really focused on that being my discipleship method.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Doug. And I really do appreciate you sharing the struggles that go on with discipleship, because as those struggles happen there in Alaska, we often have the same, but it might look just a little bit different as the struggle that goes on here oftentimes you do here, we're being in quote unquote the Bible Belt, you almost see a lack of desire because it seems like people get comfortable, get a little bit complacent, and it's hard to even drive them to sometimes want even more. And so I appreciate you sharing the struggle that goes on there, because I think a lot of people across, especially ministers in general, or people who are trying to really make disciples of all nations, can connect with the struggle that goes on and understand that it happens all the time. The struggle is there, and it's a battle for all of us. And so.
It is, and I've heard that from, I've had the opportunity to talk to different pastors all over, and it is the same struggle. It's a little different here. There's a little difference. Every culture has their own, twist to it. And for me, the best thing that I have found is doing that one-on-one, just sitting down one-on-one mentoring. And then we've just done the breakaway where we've asked these guys to begin mentoring someone else as I continue with them and continue to meet with them on a regular basis. Not quite as frequent now, because now they're meeting with their mentorees. They're meeting with their disciples on a very regular basis. And so as they develop those, and they will develop, and it'll go in turn. And so we've kind of developed I kind of developed my own plan of action with that, and material that I wanted to cover that I felt was very important, and it really does start, for me, it starts with evangelism and how they can share their faith, and then we run such an independent culture here in Alaska. The prevailing attitude is I can do anything myself, and I do not need anyone or anything helping me, and I especially don't need God. And that's the attitude that most people have up here. And so, how do you counteract that? How do you witness to someone that doesn't need or doesn't feel that they need anything else? And so it's been a struggle, and we've kind of put that together. But that's what we've done over the past 3 years. Putting this together and some trial and error. But I've got these gentlemen that I have mentored, and now meeting with them, not quite as frequent, but now they're meeting regularly with their folks.
Yeah, that independence aspect makes it pretty tough. My boss, she worked in Anchorage, actually, at the peninsula down there. I'm not sure what it's called. And she was there for a couple of years working with EPA, and she was saying that they had to sometimes ride llamas up hills and take helicopters to people and everything just to try to find people, and they were so independent. I can imagine how difficult that does make it.
Oh yeah, it's a very different thing. When in Anchorage, it's not too bad as far as pretty much everybody's on the road system here. But when we lived in Talkeet, it was nothing for us. We had several church members, to go out and visit with them. I'd have to take a 2-3 hour four-wheeler trip, or just to get to their place, or in the wintertime, you're on snowmobiles and getting out to them, just to get out to them, because they do not live on the road system. They do not live anywhere where you can't get there, just hop in a car and 10 minutes later you're there.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I think the independent mindset is enormous just in America, is that we create our own identity, we create our own self, we create everything about us, and we become so independent that we just don't feel like we need anything until the world around us crashes. And it often makes it difficult to drive into a discipleship model of showing a need and a dependence on God. But what I think we're gathering from the Cowboy Church, and what's great about it is I have heard of it before, but I don't know a whole lot about it. But what I see is that you all are about meeting people exactly where they are. You are about meeting them in their culture, in their identity, and that's what's so important. I think that's a challenge, to anybody that's listening today. Is it doesn't matter where you are. You've got to immerse yourself, not be of the world, but be in the world. But immerse yourself in that culture so that you can meet people where they are. You can meet them at their moment, and you can help guide them along to a relationship in Jesus Christ. And I think that's just enormous. And listening to the Cowboy Church just really emphasizes how important it is to meet somebody exactly where they are. And that's exactly right, and that really is the model, is meeting people where they're at. For so many years in America and in most of our churches, we put a sign up on the church, we develop a choir, we develop, youth ministry, and we say, y'all come. Up here, it just doesn't work. It really does not work. Y'all come does not mean anything to anyone. Why would I give up my day? Why would I give up my time to come to something that I don't need?